One thing homeowners need to remember is when they're putting in a xeriscape, make sure you have some evergreen plants, because in the wintertime when all your flowering plants lose their leaves and go dormant, you need something green still in the winter, even if it's not that showy, just so you don't see just rock. So that's a very important landscape element for any homeowner to remember. These particular plants are perfect foundation plants for any home garden. This is called turpentine bush, and that's called beargrass. The turpentine bush is a small, compact, evergreen bush that gets covered with yellow flowers in the fall. It's perfect because you can plant these as your foundation evergreen plant and then put all your little flowers around them, and then you have that in the winter so it doesn't look bleak. This is a great plant because it looks like a grass. It's called beargrass, but it isn't a grass. It's actually in a different family. These are like a yucca. They're not in the yucca family, but they're like a yucca, and they have these very thick leaves that look like grass, and in the wintertime they're green, in the summertime they're green. And then they get these little flowers. So when you put in ornamental grasses, they go dormant and they look brown, and sometimes they look pretty ugly. But these will look like a grass and be evergreen all year long, and they're very easy to take care of. We put these here, this turpentine and this beargrass in this corner of our pavilion here, so that we have something evergreen even in the winter when we have our weddings. And this is one of the best plants you can have in your garden for color, for evergreen, and for something that does not need hardly any water, and that's what we call the false red yucca, or the Hesperaloe. It's a great red yucca. It's a small plant. It never gets a big trunk and falls over. It doesn't have spiny tips, and it blooms that beautiful red color all summer long. It just gets wider and bigger. It doesn't get taller, so it fits everywhere. It can fit in a flower garden, or it can fit in a rock garden. It's a great plant to have in your garden because it's a bulletproof plant, another bulletproof plant. Behind the false red yucca is Apache plume. Apache plume is another native that grows right in our mountains. It's in the rose family. It first has those cute little white flowers, and then it gets those little plumy seed pods that are light pink. It's an evergreen, so it's a really great wild evergreen to put in your garden. It isn't going to be a formal plant, but it's a great background plant, and then you would put your false yucca or your chocolate flower in front of it, and in the wintertime you're going to have a green plant there. So I really suggest this particular evergreen. This thing gets maybe 4 feet tall and 4 feet wide. This shows you two different evergreen plants for your yard. The first gray one is the chamisa. It's common throughout most of New Mexico and West Texas. It makes a beautiful grayish green, and they also have a green variety. It has beautiful yellow flowers in the fall, and it's evergreen in the wintertime. Next to it, as you can see, that's the Texas sage, the green Texas sage called green cloud. And once again, you have your chamisa and then your green cloud. So here you are, you're setting up this really beautiful texture. You have round leaves, you have spiked leaves, you have two variations of green, and it really brings out that rock wall. So just remember that don't use many different kinds of plants in your landscape. Just repeat maybe 1, 2, or 3 of them, so that if you use too much, you lose the look. But this is a great way to get evergreen plants looking interesting without blooming, because you see completely different colors and textures in these two plants.